Greetings and God bless. I was thinking about when looking up a place to move to, sometimes you'll see these, distressing information, statistics, saying that there's a lot of crime or there's a lot of pollution or something like that. And so on the surface, you may be like, oh, I don't want to move there. But there are some places where the statistics of something particularly bad is not made available. And it's only when you've lived there and you know who's who that you actually find out the statistics. And one of the ones I would say is, like, I was living in Missoula, Montana, and there's a lot of veterans there, homelessness, drug use. It's a northern, wintry state, and I don't know what else about it, but maybe it's the forest fires, and it's in a valley, so it seems like there's a lot more health issues when something's in a valley. I think maybe it's the mold or the forest fire smoke. It just saturates the place in the summer, and then in the winter time, there's what's called an inversion, so the air quality is pretty bad. And because it's cold, people are indoors all the time, and there's indoor air is toxic. So I don't know if that's what makes Missoula, Montana this high. It's like when I was living there, it was the highest for suicide in the nation. And I happened to meet the pastor who was the chaplain for the police department, and he mentioned, he volunteered that information to me, that it's the highest rate for suicide in the nation. And I had read this somewhere else before. But if you look at the City of Missoula website, at least at the time when I looked at it, the link to that kind of information was broken. And other things, stuff that's been going on, social, politically, there's like nothing showing up, for instance, in Missoula. But Missoula is a pretty liberal. It's a hugely liberal city, and so I think that some real over the top information is actually hidden from formal statistics media. It's not accessible. And so then I'll look at some place like, I don't know, Chicago or Nevada or something like that, and they'll have like a high statistic for something that is regarded as negative. But there, and I'm like, after my experience living in Montana, I'm like, oh, okay. So if they're willing to say, yeah, they have high crime, or yeah, they have high drug abuse or something like that, I'm like, oh, well, that's at least that city is honest, and who knows, maybe they're not even telling the full extent of how bad things are. But I do think that's important to keep in mind with places. Some place that's just like seems squeaky clean, there's not anything wrong, or there's not something wrong that would, it seems logical that there'd be some sort of issue. And I'm sorry to be encouraging skepticism, and I think one needs to do that. And also, I want to encourage you to validate those who are willing to be honest. It's really amazing when a city is honest about, let's say, bad traffic or whatever, just whatever negative things. Because when you're able to quantify and name an issue, let's say, you have a lawn and there's dead grass on the lawn. If you never acknowledge that you have a lawn or that there's dead grass on the lawn, if you fail to acknowledge the reality, then you can't do anything about it. If you're just talking about aquariums all the time and you have this huge lawn that's just ignored because you're just talking about aquariums. Know what I mean? So anyways, I just wanted to thank towns and cities and whomever that really just are honest about the bad news of a place, because then it allows people to just have the right mindset and take the right precautions, and that makes for a good a good livable experience, because no place is ever going to be perfect. Disneyland is not perfect. As a matter of fact, it's like a child human trafficking hub from what I've heard. when you do research on Disney. And who knows if is Disney who Adolf Hitler became when he took on his new role. So anyways, I digress. Thanks for watching, and God bless.